everyone. Hi, Robin.
Hey Heidi.
We're here today to do another YouTube recording. I just wanted to first mention we do have a group activation this Saturday. It is full. There may be one spot left, but I think it's pretty much full. We also have our member Q&A. If anyone is interested in joining that, the next live Q&A session is this Monday, the 21st. And then you can also check out other memberships at athenauniverse.com. We will be having another group activation probably in about 2 months. Robin and I will put an announcement out of the date of that. We're probably going to schedule that soon, I would imagine. So we'll keep you posted on that. We had a viewer request to talk about menopause, and I kind of thought that was a nice request because so many, I know this doesn't help men necessarily, but so many women struggle with this time in their life. So I thought that would be a good place for us to discuss today. So the first question, what advice do you have for women physically and mentally that are going through menopause?
Well, it is interesting, Heidi, as you bring up this question, that there's a variety of responses that women have in regard to menopause. There are some that we would say not the majority, but there are some that pass through it very easily, very quickly, without much disturbance, let's use that term. And then there are others that are quite disrupted by it and distressed by the symptoms and some of the things that they encounter in it. Where would you like us to begin today?
Well, let's talk about the women that are really deeply affected. Why is there that difference? Why do some women have such a difficult and prolonged time with it, and others seemingly go through without issue?
Yeah. Well, it is our belief or observation that those that have a more difficult time with it generally have more emotional content or responses within them already that is then activated by the changes that come over their body because of the process that ensues. Yeah. And actually, Robin had quite a response to it herself. Yeah. Lots of sleeplessness, lots of night sweats, lots of emotions that were coming up for her that were not quite making her feel like her normal self. So it is to navigate this process in as much peace as you possibly can. And we know that it is difficult for some. There's many options available now, both in your mainstream medicine and also in your more natural path type medicine that actually soothe some of the symptoms or make it a little bit easier for a woman to make this transition. Some of those things are bioidentical hormones. You have heard of those before. Some of them use mainstream medicine. They have different types of patches and things that they use in order to make the human feel better during this process. And we would say that it is very much a medical condition or one that sometimes requires treatment just like anything else does. However, when there is something that occurs that is across the board or something everyone goes through, there becomes this right and wrongness, this determination thing on whether or not it should be treated or not treated. And it is our advice that if you're not able to live your life in a joyful and aligned and meaningful way, that you do accept some type of a treatment or something that helps you or assists you in coming into balance so that your life is joyful and happy in the way that you meant it to be.
Okay. So is there any, as far as, when we're coming into human experience, is there any reason, I should say, I'm sorry, or origin as to why menopause occurs? Like, is there any spiritual significance behind it? And then additionally, why is it basically just a woman thing and men do not experience something similar?
Well, we would tend to disagree with you that men are experiencing something in the drop or the dip in their hormones, but they may not be as emotional about it or as able to discuss it, let's use that term, as women do. And we would not say it is probably as dramatic as some women are experiencing. But what we would tell you is that in this process that is going on, once a woman would make the transition and would make the adjustment into the change in her body and in her responses to everything. Actually, everything's going to change in the way that she responds to certain things. Then there is a time of great wisdom, great knowledge, great peace. But there's something going on in your society which has actually made aging not necessarily a good thing, what comes with aging are changes. There are some changes in sexual expression. There'll be changes in bodily function or the way that you look in your body. And so because of the strict guidelines or what you determine as being acceptable and the right way to be, this also precipitates to a stream of consciousness that women find themselves in when they are in menopause. So in other words, if I am not sexually active, if I am not physically toned the way that I used to be, if I do not have the hourglass figure that I once had that was revered as a way a nice looking woman looked. Yeah. So once I adopt these understandings and these belief systems within myself, I drift into that state of consciousness or that stream of consciousness where those perceptions actually are. And most of the time, those perceptions are perceived in suffering. They're not a very happy place to be, you see.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So would you say there's a spiritual significance to menopause?
Well, there's a spiritual significance to everything in life. There's a spiritual significance in being born. There's a spiritual significance in becoming into puberty and making those changes. And there's a spiritual significance when one unwinds or lets go of their puberty or however you want to depict that. Yeah. And so this evolution of yourself or of life, it's forever changing and it's expanding in one direction and then it's retracting somewhat in another. And it seems to be the retraction that humans are having a lot of trouble with. However, there are other ways of expressing or ways that you can look at yourself lovingly and expressingly rather than dwelling too much on something that has been taken away or no longer exists. Let's use that term.
Okay. There are certain cultures or maybe certain religions that do view when a woman has her period, that it makes her more potent or more powerful at that point in her cycle during the month. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. That's just an observation of things I've heard. But I'm wondering in that same alignment of thinking, when you have hot flashes in menopause, does that generate any additional life force energy? Is it more powerful, like, as I mentioned, when women have their period at that time of their month?
Yeah, well, we would agree that yes, potentially it could, but when a woman is not feeling good, she's not able to direct that power or use it in her behalf or benefit. One would need to be in a more joyful and connective state to get the benefit of that energy. But we would not deny that there is the potential there in that heat and in that change that is occurring, that if that energy were leveraged in a direction that was positive, it could have a very positive outcome. But oftentimes during this state or present state of being when a woman isn't sleeping well, when perhaps they've gained some weight, they're not feeling sexually responsive, the negativity state that they move into denies them access to the potentiality of power that they could have if this were in fact not occurring. We're certainly not blaming anyone because when you are in that situation, it's very difficult to ignore or to get yourself to a happy place or point. And this is again why we recommend that you take whatever avenue that you need to in order to do that. There are many options that are now available to a woman that is wanting to feel better during this period of her time. And like anything else, we would tell you that this is an avenue that we would pursue. Yeah.
Mhm. And also, I don't know if any listeners have had this experience. I think, Robin, you've had this experience. I know I've had it. And today I was just seeing an article about other women discussing they having this as well. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there. So even ahead of menopause, say in perimenopause, I used to get a lot of heart palpitations. And at first, as I'm sure many thousands and if not millions of women thought there's something wrong with my heart. I need to go in and have it checked out. It feels like it's fluttering or it's skipping a beat. And it caused a lot of anxiousness, when I had this occurring. Um, is that, is there anything you could give to anybody that's experiencing that? Like, is that,
Well, our recommendation is always the same. If you are experiencing a condition, we would always get it checked out medically because then it can give you some peace of mind or a feeling that you're okay. Yeah, which goes a long way in health, just the way that you feel about it. So getting that checked out, of course, would be recommended. And if you got it checked out and there was nothing problematic, it was probably coming from some of the changes that are occurring. There are so many things that are going on hormonally that are affecting the way that the body feels, and having those heart palpitations are one of them. Yeah. Another one of the big areas that gets missed is the thyroid problem. Yeah. And if a human has lived a very stressful life with a lot of flight or fight type responses, money problems, relationship problems, taking care of themselves problems, all of these types of fears and anxieties can weigh heavily on that system, on that thyroid, on the adrenals. And actually, by getting that taken care of, oftentimes clears up a lot of the menopause symptoms that they are treating hormonally, which could be just remedied by addressing the thyroid itself. Yeah, there literally is no downside to supplementing that thyroid gland and getting that up and functioning. It helps with the weight control. It helps with the metabolism, the sleep, and the heat in the body. So these are some of the recommendations, and actually many that Robin herself has used that have made the process much more smoothly and able to tolerate. Yeah.
Okay. So is there anything about menopause that a woman can use to their benefit? Everybody's going to go through it to some degree, whether it's really a stressful situation or whether it's mild. What can you do to stay in alignment and use this time to your benefit?
Yeah. So one of the determining factors of a lot of suffering in menopause is the lack of surrender. It's very difficult to surrender to losing some things, to perhaps not be as sexually active, to perhaps not be as physically fit as you once were, to not be maybe in your happy, joyful state. So there is a decline in some areas that make it difficult for a human to accept that. Yeah, it comes down to surrender. And so by supplementing or using some of the other avenues that we have mentioned, it kind of pushes off suffering into the distance, doesn't it? It kind of relieves a lot of the symptoms, and it makes you not have to necessarily accept what you would determine as a decline. It can make life a little bit easier, a little bit more peaceful. But we would tell you that probably eventually at some point in your experience, that decline will be something that you will experience. You will actually have to surrender to certain things being different because of your age or the metabolical changes that have occurred in your body. And so there's a lot of it is societal. Yeah, there is a lot in your society that is very dug into remaining youthful and active and doing things way beyond what maybe might have been done in the past. And so this is a stream of consciousness that's been heavily contributed to. And so a lot of people are joining it. A lot of people are perceiving and believing that this is a better way to live, and in that feeling, maybe it is. Yeah. So it is an individual and sovereign journey that each of you are on. And if you are not able to come into balance with the changes that are going in your body, then you are to send out the desire to the universe that you want to feel better. Yeah. And then you are to pursue what comes to you. Yeah. If you are led somewhere where there is a supplementation of some sort, or a practice, or a thyroid check, or something that delivers the result that you are wanting, it'll come to you based upon what you are calling for. This is the way that we would recommend that you navigate that process, because it's different for everyone. There are those of you, as we said, that will go through it very easily, and maybe you will have a couple of difficult years of sleep and a little bit of hotness, and then pass right through it and feel quite normal. There are those that sexual activity isn't affected, and that they have just as much desire as they did before the process occurred. So we're not here to tell you that it's necessarily the same across the board. We're here to tell you that you're a sovereign being, and that you are to individually look at yourself in the way that you feel, and then determine for yourself by that feeling what it is that you need to do to bring yourself into alignment so that you can live the life you meant to live.
All right. Well, thank you, Athena. Hopefully that's helpful to the viewer that asked the question and any other women out there that also are dealing with this. Thank you, everyone.